Hello, everybody. Welcome to 3 Point Perspective, the podcast about illustration, how to do it, how to make a living at it, and how to make an impact in the world with your art. I'm Jake Parker.
I'm Lee White.
And I'm Will Terry, and all three of us are professional illustrators. We've all worked for all the major publishers in the business. Together, we've published somewhere around 75 children's books, and we've all taught illustration at university art schools.
That's right. Each week we come at you guys with fantastic illustrator interviews or questions from people just like you. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we argue, but each time you learn something brand spanking new.
All right. Well, as you saw from the title, this is not anything that we are, it's not a bait and switch. It's not clickbait or all that stuff. This is...
Wait, what's the title?
The title is something like...
We hate Will Terry.
No.
Oh, is this where you guys kick me out? You doing it on the podcast? This is how I learn about it?
Will Terry, it's intervention time. No. But Will Terry is leaving SVS for a totally independent career as doing the things that he's doing. So I think what we want to do with this episode is just kind of talk about that, talking about the reason you wanted to go this route, what went into it, and wherever this conversation is going to go. So
okay.
Take it away, Will.
So if we end up talking about pink Martians, that's okay too, right?
I'd be upset if we didn't.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a big change. It's a big, scary change in my life right now. Leaving you guys, and I'm not scared to leave you guys to to take care of SVS and students, because I know you'll do a great job, and I know that you are working with some great people and have a great team. It's just like when you do something as long as we have with SVS, which is what, like 13 or 14 years or something.
Yeah.
At least
It starts to become part of your identity. So like when you introduce yourself, when I introduce myself and people ask what I do, it's like, well, I illustrate children's books and other things, and I'm a teacher. I'm an art teacher, an illustration teacher, and I have my own platform. And it's like, the other thing is, it's always scary wondering if you're making the right decision, because no one can see, next month, next year, next 5 years. But sometimes you have to make decisions that you think are right, that are good, solid decisions, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit here. So, do I get the full treatment like I'm a guest? Like if
I think that's how we do it.
This is your show, yeah.
So should we say, when would you say we first started talking about maybe you decide that you're going to leave SVS, or SVS isn't going to be a part of your, as much a part of your daily or your weekly workflow?
So one of the there's a few factors. One of them has been I really feel like I've done what I could do with SVS, and I feel like you guys definitely have more that you can give students in some of the premium classes and stuff like that. I feel like I've done what I came to do, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Probably the biggest, so that's kind of part of the decision is I've done what I can do, and really, and I do feel like I have felt for a while that I'm not making new classes, that I'm not really keeping up with you guys. So I felt that for a while. Probably the bigger one is, I am giving advice on my YouTube channel and through SVS to go out there and do your own products and projects and start companies and start indie products and stuff like that. And I just feel like I'm finally on one now that I can really take to a full degree, take all the way, and 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 so with this with pursuing these games, I've really found what I know it's like it's really it happened like overnight. So I haven't been doing this long. I'm not even profitable, but I feel like we're just going to be able to take it a lot further if I have more time to dedicate to it.
Right.
And I will say that as I have gotten into my 50s and I'm going to turn 60 next year,
Old. Sorry.
I don't have the bandwidth to work all day long like I used to. I used to, like, there was a lot of times where I was doing freelance where I would wake up in the morning and just jump right from bed into the desk and start going. And, with a few things happening during the day, maybe taking a walk or something, but I wouldn't quit sometimes until 10 or 11 at night.
Mm-hmm.
That Will Terry has sailed, man. I can't do that anymore and don't want to, and I'm looking I'm really looking at like how much time I have left on this planet. And, like best case, probably like 30 years or so,
Best case.
25, 30, maybe, somewhere in there, but
Yeah.
and not all those years will be producing years either. So really, like, how much time do I have to really see if I can make a product or a product line that can be a huge success? And the way I define a huge success is that that we sell, hundreds of thousands, if not over $1 million worth of products.
Yeah.
I want to try to do that. I really do. I want to put everything into it. And, it was kind of a decision, and you guys kind of helped me with that too, because you could tell that I was right. You could tell that I was, my heart was kind of somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's hard to be split 50-50 on anything. I think it's just a constant struggle. And I hear you sort of saying we talk about it all the time on the podcast, wanting to focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And you can't, for those of you guys who don't know, as we scale up, this is the problem with all small businesses. So I'm just going to go over this really quickly. Some people I think are under the impression that we are just loaded and that we're making tons of money and living a lavish lifestyle. Here's the problem with middle level businesses is that you start small, you start to get some success. That's awesome. A thumbs up. Oh, well, this is going great. Well, what does that mean? You hire some more people, or you move into a bigger store, depending on what you're doing, or, whatever. You scale up. All that stuff costs money. And then all of a sudden you're making the same amount, even though the enterprise is bigger.
Or less.
Right.
And that keeps, what's that?
Or less.
Yeah.
Right. You might even make less, but it looks more successful from the outside.
Right.
Well, so over the past 4 years, we have scaled quite considerably. And what that means for us is not really additional pay or sometimes we've taken cuts even, and we're in meetings all the time. Because we have all these different teams. We have, we're going to run these ads. We're going to do these classes. Okay, how do we advertise those? Let's do a YouTube video. It's become more complicated, as anything does, as you scale up. And it starts to suck in the time that used to be free time, where we could either illustrate a book or do something on your own. Now you get 3 meetings in the day where one's at 10, one's at 1, and one's at 3. Your day's done.
You're toast.
You're done. It's so difficult. And me and Jake were talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago, where, if you have a meeting, it's not just even if it's a 15-minute meeting, that's a 2-hour meeting basically, because it pulled you out of whatever you're doing. And in order to get back into what you're doing, it's a Herculean task to get into a painting. It takes a little while.
The train track example, like shifting train tracks, you got to slow the train down.
Right.
You got to, back it up, move it over to the other track, and then get it back up to speed again, just for that one thing. And then to get back on the original track, you got to do that whole thing again over again.
If you can do it again, because then all of a sudden, what happens with us is we have other life get in the way, where, we had the meeting until 2:30. Now I got to go pick up my son from school. And now it just compounds the difficulty of getting. So I get it. I definitely get it.
Well, and I'm sitting there. Do you guys know who Alex Hermosi is?
Yeah.
I don't.
business guy who gives advice on
He always wears a
TikToks.
tank top.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's like a gym rat slash entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
So he's pretty muscle bound.
Yeah, like
But
he
yeah.
got his business start opening a gym and then opening 2 gyms and then built like a little mini gym empire and then
And he lost it all, didn't he?
something like that. I don't know his full story, but now he essentially gives business advice and buys businesses and tries to make them more profitable,
Right.
from what I understand.
And I was listening to him one day, and he's talking about like if you really want to earn good money, you need to focus on one thing. You
Yeah.
really need to try
It's
to
true.
focus. And so I had that kind of rattling around in my brain. And then like let me share my screen. 'Cause I'll just show you
Buying
guys.
Sharon screen to the meeting.
Yep. So this is our website right here that we just kind of launched.
Is it wickedchristmas.com?
It is wonkypenguingames.com.
Wonky
Ah,
Penguin.
So,
I
yeah.
love that.
So yeah, Wonky Penguin is our LLC that's going to own the games, and like we're like Wicked Christmas is our first one. We've actually got the second one pretty much figured out, but we have to do a lot of play testing with it, and we're working on the rules for the third one. So we're really like, I mean, like so our plan right now, and the reason why I needed to just have more time is I've got this partner, Anthony Beneke, who was one of our students here at SVS, who is like, this is what he really wants to work on. And I need to make sure that I'm trying to match his energy because he's a young guy.
Yeah.
He's 30 something.
Yeah.
And he's so very capable in so many ways. Like he's just got a talent stack that is just, I drool over it, and like he was in customer support, for instance. He had a job in customer support and he's really good at it. Right. So, we get people from the Kickstarter. For those of you who haven't been following what I've been doing with this card game, and if you're on YouTube, you can see it on our YouTube channel. But basically, he now I've totally lost my train of thought. I don't know
Who
where
is
I was
it?
going. What's
You're
that?
talking about the gym guy?
No. Anthony. He's just a super talented guy who's a graphic designer. And
Yeah,
in
you
his
were
day
saying that
job.
you're matching his energy and you're
Yeah.
trying to go all in on this particular thing, right?
Right. So the guy knows part of his job, his day job is he has done a lot of web work with sites like Shopify, which if you've never opened a Shopify before, it's beyond me. Remember when I had my other Shopify store for
Yeah.
Pickleball Paul? I couldn't figure it out. And it's kind of a drag and drop kind of supposedly setup. I'm just 10 or 15 years too old to understand it,
Right.
But yeah, so he just is like, oh yeah, I'll jump on Shopify and just throw our site together, and I know it's more time than that, but it just makes sense to him. He knows how to do it. He knows how to make it look really good. I help him out with images, so I did our splash image here. But he's really good with that. He's really good with customer support. Someone will call in, someone will email us, and they're all angry. And I'm watching the emails back and forth between him, and all of a sudden he turns them into a fan.
Oh, wow.
Because he's like, "Oh, totally understand your frustrations. We're really sorry. Here's what we can do to help." And all of a sudden, yeah, he's turned them into a fan. So he's like got this crazy, and
That is such a huge skill set right now. I go the opposite way and just offend the offended person more.
Oh,
You got a problem with this? Well, check this
Yeah,
out.
you haven't seen
Yeah.
anything.
That's funny.
So anyway, yeah. So yeah, this is what I really want to do, and I really want to see if a couple of guys and their wives can basically take this and really make it into something, and And our plan for not this coming Christmas, we're gonna, we printed 2,000 of these games for the Kickstarter, but we printed an extra 12,000, so a total of 14,000 for to sell this next Christmas. But we're planning to launch the new games a year and a half from now. Well, a little bit more than a year and a half, but next Christmas, the Christmas after that. And kind of the plan right now is to have a Kickstarter where we basically launch both games on that Kickstarter.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
the kind of like what Brandon Sanderson did with his 3 books that he
Yeah.
released all at one time. Because we just, with the timing, we just couldn't do both at the same time. We couldn't get everything done that we needed to get done and develop another game in time for this next Christmas and get it printed before the Kickstarter. Because what we've really learned was that we really need to, because they're seasonal games, they need to be printed ahead of time so that on the Kickstarter we can say, hey, you're going to get this before Christmas or before
That was a
Thanksgiving.
lesson you learned with the last one, right?
Right. That was a huge lesson we learned, and we won't make that mistake again. We probably would have sold somewhere around 20,000 games on that Kickstarter.
Wow.
Holy cow.
We spent $42,000, not $4,200, $42,000 on Facebook, but the return would have been about 20,000 games times $25 average.
Oh, man.
So that's like what, $450,000 or something like that, I think. Is that right?
No.
that-
4.5 million.
No.
20,000 games, selling 20,000 games?
All right, this is where I have to get the calculator out.
20,000.
Wow, Will's
What do
looking
you
that up.
think? What do you think, Lee?
I think both of you are wrong somehow, but I do think it's interesting because one thing that you will be able to do out of this, $500,000.
$500,000.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
One
This is
thing
why
about
I'm not an accountant.
one thing about the decision you're making is at the end of the day, whether it goes, off the charts success or it's marginal or medium, or it doesn't do well at all. The cool thing is you'll be able to know that you did it in the right way. And I think a lot of our listeners struggle with this. Oh, do I do this or do I go all in and do this? And there's something special about going all the way in on something. And, I'm not saying it always works out in wild success, but I think there's a certain satisfaction for saying I did the thing as fully as I could do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Lee, that's such a good point, because how many people can afford to do that?
Right. It's really hard to do it. I mean, and a lot of times what I love about it, seeing people do that, is the gamble involved. It's one thing if you're completely loaded and you're like, oh, I'm going to quit doing this thing, I'm going to do this other thing, and you've just got tons of money. That's not interesting in any way. What I like is seeing somebody who goes all in and it is a gamble. Like I remember when I went to, this isn't nearly the scale of what you're doing now, but when I went to the school in Laguna for one semester. I don't really talk about it that much. But the whole semester I was there, I was thinking, this is pretty good. I was talking myself into it. I'm having fun. This is just as good as Art Center.
Yeah.
And the whole time I wanted to go to Art Center. And at the end, I was like, at the end of my career, am I going to be happy that I stayed at this school, or am I going to be happy that I switched? And remember, at that time, I didn't have a scholarship or anything.
Right.
I was looking at just the full cost of it. And I was like, I got to do it. I just have to do it. Like, worst case scenario, at least I will know that I did the thing that I think is the best route.
Yeah.
And I gave myself the best chance of success. And I look back on that, and man, that decision was absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
In terms of my development. I'm not saying that other people can't thrive at the different schools and whatever, but for my development, I felt like I needed that. And I made a ton of connections that I'm still friends with today. And anyway, my point is, the times I've seen people do what you're doing, I've never seen it not work out.
Oh, really?
Never.
I don't want to be that exception, man.
I don't think it will be, because it once you make a choice, sort of things start. Once you make a real choice where you draw a line in the sand and you say, I'm doing the thing, not like, oh, I'm gonna do the thing.
Yeah.
Things change. Like all of a sudden you'll meet somebody who knows a cheaper printer or a better way of building a website, or, all these weird things that you didn't know were going to happen start to line up. And it's uncanny how often that happens when
Yeah.
you start diving all the way in.
There's crossroads in our lives, and like one crossroad was, do we ever even start SVS? Like we gave ourselves the opportunity to do that, and we talked it over, and we did it, and it was great, and it has been great, and it is great. But every time you make a decision like that, you're saying no to other things, right?
Right. Opportunity cost.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm in a situation where I can afford to do this. And I did want to talk about that a little bit. Before I do that, while I'm sharing this, let me just share one other thing really quick.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Will's showing sort of his new website and the game and all that stuff. This will be
So if you want to see it, it's on YouTube. I'm not showing the URL to this. This is the portal for retailers. And what we're starting off with right now is let's offer to give them a free game. So I'm just kind of giving you a little flavor of like what I'm leaving SVS to do, and kind of sharing like some of the plans that we have. But people can do. We're emailing out, we're sending out these postcards to stores that we think could sell our game, right? So we developed a mailing list on our own. That took a long time, by the way. I would not suggest just buying a mailing list. Like I went on Google every day for like 2 or 3 months and put like 20 to 30 names on my list every day as part of my routine.
How big is that list now?
It's 1,000.
Wow.
And I have gift shops, toy stores, game stores, and Christmas year-round stores.
Now you're showing us a page on your website that says claim your free game or get a free game, sort of a lead to see what do I get if I sign this? Do I get the full thing?
Yeah, we're gonna send them a free game. These are just for retailers. That's why I'm not showing.
Okay.
That's why I'm not showing how to get there on our site. It's a hidden part, because we don't want anyone to come here that didn't get our postcard, right?
Right.
That I'm showing right now.
Yeah.
So what's that?
That's a good idea to give them a free game so they can kind of see the actual product.
Yeah, we really want to get the wholesale part of the business going. So that's what this is. And then we've got a playthrough video. And then it just a little bit that talks about the games and stuff. And, like showing them a product picture on the counter, like, look, this could be in your store, trying to paint that picture,
That's really good.
That's smart.
So anyway, so that's that. And that's pretty much what we're doing. We're gonna try to, our marketing plan basically is sell wholesale to stores, sell on Amazon, sell on our website through Facebook ads this next holiday season, and also TikTok. We're going to try to get that going. So those 4 things and I mean, it's either going to work or it's not. But the fact that we had so many people excited about it last Christmas that couldn't get it because we didn't have the games that bailed,
right,
told us that we were onto something. And now we're getting like, the people that are getting their Kickstarters are giving us these testimonials that they love the game. They actually really love it.
Yeah.
And it's replayable. And so they're talking about it.
I got to point out too, at this point in your career and in your life, the skill stack that you've built so far is, this is a guy, Will Terry is a guy who knows how to illustrate at a very professional level. Character design, environment design, just nice illustrations. So that's one level right there. Number 2, your Kickstarters that you've launched over the years. I go back to what they don't teach you in art school. Like everything you learned to launch that thing was marketing, finding a problem that needs to be solved, figuring out how you package something, how you, like all the work that you did to actually build the product and the interviews that you did with all the professionals and everything, which is it's such a great book because it teaches you all the stuff about the business side of illustration. And then in the back, it has interviews with how many, 20 illustrators or
15 or 20. Yeah. I can't remember exactly.
And professional illustrators, and just ask them like, how do you run your illustration business? So that right there. So you did that. Then you did the whole convention route with the little heroes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you learn how to hand sell stuff and build up that whole business. And you also learn how to partner with people.
Right.
You started SVS. So you learned how to do like the whole online education side of things. Then Pickleball Paul, you got into self-publishing.
Yeah.
Then, so all of that leads up to this,
Yeah.
which, so when people are thinking like, oh, I should quit my job and go do this idea that I have, double check and make sure you've got like the skill stack.
Right.
You know, and even if you do have that stack of skills, are you also getting like well, if your Kickstarter launched and you got like 100 people interested in it, and like an email list of 1,000 people that were still interested in it, that's not quit your job and go all in
Right.
kind of attention that you're hoping for.
Right.
But you had a strong enough lead here to realize, like, to gut check it and be like, yep, this is the thing I want to pursue.
Absolutely. To piggyback on what you're saying, I have a list of things here that because I was thinking about this, I was thinking about talking to you guys about this, and you're hitting right on the same thoughts that I had. Was if I were listening to this, and maybe I'm a younger illustrator or somebody who wants to become an illustrator, there's things that there's steps along the way that I think you can take to set yourself up to being able to do something like starting a company, right? You don't just do that right when you're in your 20s, unless, I mean, there are definitely people that do, and that, you know, maybe they just have a greater skills stack than I did when I was in my 20s, because I wasn't ready for it then, or even in my 30s.
Well, what a 20-year-old has that you don't have is like they can stay up until you know all night long.
Right.
They're incredibly like sponge like. They
Right.
can learn something like, oh, that's how you do a Shopify site, and
Right.
then it's in there, and now they
Right.
know how to do a Shopify site.
Right.
Like,
Well, like your number one was my number one. Get a skill
mhm,
that makes you indispensable.
mhm.
To use that word from Seth Godin in his linchpin book, make yourself, that the whole purpose of that book was make yourself indispensable. You know, people often wonder, like, you know, why did I get laid off? Why can't I get paid more? Why am I getting paid so little? And basically what it is in our capitalist system, you have to, if you're going to work for someone else, you have to be that person that they hire that they absolutely can't live without. How do you do that? Right? That comes through that skill you learned, but probably even more than that, it comes from learning people skills. Like learn what people like in another person, and learn what they don't like, and don't do that. Even if you have to fake it. Like, I'll go back to Alex Hormozy, and he tells this, have you heard him tell this story about how there was a guy in his office that everybody hated, and everybody wanted fired, like even managers and stuff. And he was like at a crossroads. He was like, and so he brought the guy in, and he's like, I didn't really care what was going on too much, but now that you're taking my time, it's a problem that I have to deal with. I have to deal with you as a problem. Did you hear that story?
No, I haven't.
Oh, and he basically said, the things that everybody's complaining about is you want to argue about everything. So in a meeting, you're very argumentative without solutions or something like that. And two, I can't remember the other ones, but anyway, there was like three things, right? And his thing was, you don't have to be a better person. You just have to not do that. So like, as long as you like whatever, when you're tempted to do that thing that everybody hates, you choose to do something else instead, then I don't have to fire you, and you don't have to get fired, basically. And so like a month later, everybody's like, man, he's like the nicest guy, just like overnight. And what he did was he just stopped doing those things. So the point with that is, you've got to make yourself into the kind of person that people want to work with, right? So I'll take Anthony for example. Like, I didn't even really know I needed an Anthony until he kind of just showed up. He showed up because he volunteered to help me on Pickleball Paul and didn't even know me. And I find out later, his wife says he's the most shy guy. And for him to do that, he stepped way out of his comfort zone
Wow.
to even contact you and say, hey, I want to help you. He didn't come over and show his portfolio. He didn't show what he could do. He just showed up and helped and was super nice to talk to. And I didn't really even think that things would go that much further, but he had mentioned he was a graphic designer. And anyway, we ended up doing a little bit of stuff together. And pretty soon I started to get to know him more and more over time and go, man, he could be the perfect business partner. So that's the kind of person you need to try to work yourself into. And then you need to do a lot of work and hone those skills. So you're working on your skills. So those people that are taking our classes at SVS, you're working on the first, second, third steps that you need to do by really trying to perfect your craft so that you have something that you can use to attract other people to work with you and or to make your own product that's super professional, right? Like when I decided to make this game, you know, one of the things that was a requirement was this thing has to look good when it's on the shelf. There can't be any problems, you know what I mean? Any glaring graphic design problems. It can't look like it's self-published. It has to look like it belongs with anything else out there. And, you know, you have to be able to set that kind of standard for yourself. One of the things that I think is another point that you need to develop yourself to where you've had enough experiences where you can kind of know whether or not you're doing something smart, whether it's working for someone else or whether it's making your own product. You have to get to a point where you can go make a reasonable prediction and go, I think that this is a smart move because of A, B, C, D, E experiences that I've had before. And the example I'll use there is like I illustrated when I was like, this was probably like 25 years ago. I illustrated The Three Little Gators by Helen Ketterman. And it's a fractured fairy tale on the Three Little Gators. And I remember working on that. And I said, because I had heard someone say, to be successful, you just need to work hard, right? To be successful, you just got to work hard. So I was like, I'm going to work on this book and I'm going to illustrate every square inch to the nth degree with details. And I'm just going to work as hard as I can. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if I even make any money on this project for my time. You know what I mean? Like if I end up working at $2 an hour, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to illustrate the crap out of this book. And what did I do? I basically created this over-rendered, over-illustrated book that doesn't really that distracts the viewer more than it just illustrates the text, right? And so like someone like you could use the example of what I was basically doing is I was digging the hole for a pool with a spoon instead of with a backhoe.
Right.
I was working hard, not smart.
Right.
Right. And so that's one of the things that I think if you try to start a business too early and you don't have enough experience to work smart, you might mistakenly work really hard. That's another thing that Hermosi says is he's like, you know, one of the pieces of advice he gives is the people that are the most successful are the people that just outwork other people. I think that's true to an extent, but I think that you have to do smart work too.
There's smart working.
Yeah.
There's outsmart working people.
Yes. And not that I'm a smart guy. I've just made enough mistakes that I can kind of eliminate a lot, whittle away most of the mistakes, hopefully, to get to a better chance at doing something well.
Well, there's a difference between being busy and moving forward. And sometimes those can look the same.
Right. Well, it's the urgency matrix, right? Or it's like an Eisenhower matrix where you've got urgency and important on it. And a lot of times we get so busy working on everything that's urgent that we neglect the important stuff.
Right.
And the stuff that's important and urgent, like get your taxes done by April 15th, it's going to get done. But the
Right.
stuff that's not urgent and important, what's that?
I said, is it really good? I don't
Well,
think
you
so.
got to file an extension or something.
There we go.
But the stuff that's important but not urgent, the people that are able to put some time and effort into that are the people that I think are really going to find success over the long run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, if the last couple weeks, I know you've been also dealing with a bunch of like personal stuff, but what has not having to worry about SVS, how has that shifted what you're working on, like your process and whatnot?
Well,
because I know you really weren't worrying about SVS before that, so it hasn't changed much.
It hasn't changed a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, like I feel like I'm just getting more done.
Yeah.
One, because I love what I'm doing. Two, because Anthony is doing probably more than I am, and I'm trying to keep up with him. I need to feel valuable to my business partner. But yeah, I'm just getting more stuff done, and so just having more time. I want to bring this up too, that the financial part of this thing, because I think it's really important. Like I couldn't have done this, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, not at all. Well, because I'm not making any money right now with this business.
Right.
And so, yeah, obviously there's value that I'm going to be taking from SVS. Right. But I figure I have, just to be completely transparent, I probably have 2 to 3 years, of money, not including my savings, my investments, but, 2 to 3 years to make another income. I'm not ready to take my Social Security yet for probably another 7 years. So I figure I need to work, and not that Social Security is going to save me anyway, but because it's not, it might help a little bit, but anyway, so basically, I want people to know that, how important saving money is. Cause I couldn't have pulled 40 grand out of my savings to run Facebook ads, which is a huge gamble.
Right.
If I hadn't saved that money up.
Right.
And there's quite a bit of expenses getting our little business venture off the ground. We're sitting on, luckily the Kickstarter paid for the, for the inventory that we have right now, which we're sitting on. I like to talk numbers because I want other people to talk numbers. So I get an idea. The inventory that we're sitting on, that we're trying to sell for next Christmas season, is 12,000 games times, if we were to sell them for $25 each, isn't that like that's like 300 grand, I think?
Yeah, something like that. Not 4.5 million
times 12,000. Yes, 300 grand. We won't sell them all for that. So like that product's paid for, right?
Yeah.
So if we were to sell them all on our website, we'd make a little less than 300 grand, because there's processing fees and stuff like that.
Right.
But wholesale's about half that. So if we sold, 2 or 3, 4, I have no idea, 1,000 wholesale, those take away from that number. But there's enough money there for us to actually, should be enough money there for us to take profit and pay for the next games, pay some of that for the next ones, and also hopefully reprint. So that's one thing. And like, we're really looking ahead. We're going, well, if the Facebook ads perform like they did last Christmas season, we will sell out and not have enough games. So we're already looking at domestic printers here.
Yeah.
That could have a faster turnaround time than going to China. Also, China has tariffs going on. We don't know what that's going to look like in a year from now. we don't know if it'll be significant or insignificant. But
Well, there's other places to print than China too.
right, Vietnam, there's a lot of
Right.
printing going on in Vietnam.
Um,
And here there are printers here, and like one decision that we're looking at is, would we be willing to, let's say, print here if it was 2 or 3 times the cost, if we could get them in a month, and like basically like see what kind of orders we're getting through October, basically call in an airstrike, have a printer ready to go,
yeah.
call in an airstrike, and basically get more games so that we don't run out through the Christmas season.
Right.
You were gonna say,
Oh, I was gonna say too, like when you come up with a good card game, it gets worn out, and
Yeah.
people want to replace it too.
Yeah.
So in a way, you're creating a consumable,
yeah,
because there's and also it makes the perfect gift for somebody too, if
Yeah.
they know they like card games. So like, there's a game we play a lot called The Great Dalmoody, and sorry, I've had this cough for a couple weeks now, it seems like. Anyway, we have The Great Dalmoody, and we play it on vacations and on camping trips, and so it just gets trashed. And so we're always having to like replace it like every couple of years, so that cards are bent up and dirty.
I used
And,
to not like the people that, like, when they're all nervous and they hold their cards and they bend them.
Yeah,
Now I'm starting to like those people more.
yeah. Because they're gonna need to replace it.
Well-
Plus, so we just bought 2 new copies of it, one for us and one for my father-in-law, because he likes card games, and we figured he'd like it too. So
Yeah.
you're going into a space that I think, if you could find that right mix, that right game that people love, you're set. I also wanted to point out too, as far as the money thing, if you guys don't know about Will Terry, like, he does not live an extravagant lifestyle. he does not have a large house.
Right.
He doesn't have a fancy car. He's able to save up 3 years worth of income because he's chosen a lifestyle that isn't super expensive. So that's another.
Intentionally to keep the
Yeah.
price
Yeah.
down. I mean, I remember when you were shopping for a home,
Yeah.
that was the big deal. And
Yeah.
Jake's moving for that same reason, right?
Yeah.
Or multiple reasons, but
Yeah, I mean, it's like right now the house we bought was a house for a large family, and now that family's shrinking
They're
because
moving out.
people keep moving out. And so
Yeah.
what's the point of having a house that could fit all those people if nobody's there,
Right.
except for twice a year.
Right.
true.
Yeah. So that is a huge portion of this, is setting yourself up to where you can do something like this. But I just want to say, like, no employer is ever going to pay you as much as you want to make. You're always going to want more than what they're willing to pay you. Even if you're doing freelance work, we're constantly always fighting to get more and more. But if you make something that can be printed and reprinted, I mean, there is no cap on what you could end up making. And so that's that's what has really attracted me. And some people are going to think, well, all you care about is the money, and blah blah blah. Money's life, right? You can't live without money. So I don't care about a nice car. I don't care about a nice house. I don't care about nice clothes or jewelry. Obviously, I wear the same polo shirts all the time. I don't care. I don't have any of those kinds of ambitions. What I really want is to be able to spend my time the way that I want to spend it. Like, that's, to me, the most important thing, is being able to spend time. And working on projects that you love is one of them. Being able to do the exercise activities like pickleball is a huge part of it for me. Being able to go and see my kids and my grandkids now is a huge part of it. But just being able to have the freedom to do that. And so, yeah, this was really kind of a logical choice that you guys helped me with.
Yeah.
I kind of needed a little encouragement.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to say a couple of years ago, we started having conversations like, what would it take for any one of us to like leave SVS? Like, what would it be? And, Will was always like, I'd have to have something that I really want to work on, or there'd have to be, you know, some crazy investor who's like, we want to buy SVS, which nobody's that crazy. Just saying that. There's nobody on this planet with any amount of capital who's that crazy. But it wasn't until recently where we could just tell, like, Will's heart wasn't in it. His focus wasn't there. And it usually went like this. Oh, we've got a decision to make. What do you think, Lee? He's like, well, I really think we should do it this way. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we should do it this way. Will, what do you think? I don't know. Whatever you guys come up with.
Yeah, whatever you guys come up with. Well, but part of that too is a compliment to you guys, because I know that you guys make good decisions, and at the same time, it wasn't really fair of me to just burden you guys with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was checked out.
Yeah.
To be honest.
And yeah, and I mean that's fine. And so it just came to the point where it's like, hey, sounds like you're not happy here, sounds like or not satisfied or whatever, so let's talk about this for real and see.
And the funny thing is, I'm happy here. I'm very happy. I just didn't like the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept feeling like I was being pulled from what I wanted to work on back to this. Right. But I love podcasting with you guys.
Yeah.
Do I get to come on again?
Yeah. So that's the plan. Is we want to check back in with you leading up to Christmas. Yeah. And see what that's looking like, and then obviously you'll be too crazy through Christmas, and then check back with you in like January and assess the situation.
I'll be taking videos and snapping pictures and have stuff to report. Hopefully I have good stuff to report. If I don't, and you guys never hear of me again, it means that I'm living in a van down by the river somewhere, right?
It's either that or
happen. We have an active text thread among the three of us that's about way more than SVS.
I'm hoping in January it's like, and Will Terry's with us today from his private jet flying over.
No. That probably won't happen, but hopefully I'll have, you know, we're when we start out, I'll just share this really quick. You know, starting out, this is my small home, and this is like in our living room, like
no way.
This is building boxes, right? Mm-hmm. So leading up to the Kickstarter, this is what it was looking like, and then here's another shot. This is boxes that are ready to go out right here.
Yeah.
You guys, what you're looking at, what we're looking at right now, if you're listening in your car or wherever, is a shot of Will Terry's feet in his living room. Like he's in his lounge chair or whatever. And then there is basically a wall of boxes. It almost looks like a cinder block wall.
Surrounding his TV.
With two socks that don't match.
With socks that don't match.
Yep,
but this is a picture. I'm going to keep this picture because if somebody ever asked me, what does all in look like?
This is it. Yeah.
This is what, I mean, I'm not kidding.
These are the boxes that I was building right here.
We're looking at a picture of his. I don't know if this is your kitchen, living room.
Kitchen, living room, yeah.
It's you got it. It's all boxes.
I made 3 trips, probably 4 now, to the post office like this with the truck bed.
Did you put a tarp on that? He's got all his boxes just loose. I bet there's some that just rolled out, hit an armadillo.
Yeah, a couple people didn't get their packages. Somebody ran over them. Yeah, but you know we're trying to document because it's just. This is here's a shot of Anthony with the games at his mom's house. Wow. So we're renting a bedroom from his mother because it was she gave us a much better rate.
You're bringing Anthony's mom into this?
Bringing his mom in. She had an extra spare bedroom, and the storage unit was going to charge us probably $300 a month. So we're getting a pretty hefty discount on that, but we'll eventually, I'm like, I hope we have to rent a big storage unit, you know. Mm-hmm. I hope that happens, or either that, or instead of that, we just hire a fulfillment center for everything all the time, and we just store our product over there, which is expensive. But if we're selling enough, then that could totally be worth it. So anyway, yeah, this is kind of what all in looks like, right?
So just, you know, before we wrap up, what are your milestones over the next year, now that you're done with SVS and you can focus on this full time, just like the big hits, if you had to make a timeline
Yeah.
with the dots that would be the significant milestones, what would that look like?
So, yeah. So getting the website up was super important because we're sending these postcards out today, actually. So we're going to find out if stores want this game, And, I'm going to throw a tidbit out there really quick. You see this? This is a pro tidbit that I got from a YouTube video. There's a guy on YouTube that's a total pro when it comes to direct mail, right? And he said, when you make a postcard, okay, there's the front and the back, right? So where the address goes, right here, that's the back of the postcard, right?
Right.
He says, no, this is the front. Always think of this as the front from now on. When people sort their mail, it's always address up. Your main offer, and then we're just trying to get them to get a free game. We're not trying to sell anything.
Yeah.
We just want these stores to get the game in their hand, right? So your offer needs to be on the front. Then you can put if they're interested, they'll go to the back and look at more information, like what the game is about. He's like, everybody does it backwards. They make the back the offer and the actual back the front with nothing on it really except the address.
Right. With the more information.
And he said people just sort through their mail and like, I don't know what this is, and they just chuck it,
Yeah.
So anyway, so milestones were getting to this point, getting the website up, getting the postcards to start going out. We're actually only sending postcards to 200 Christmas year-round stores right now because it's too early for toy stores, game stores, and gift shops to think about Christmas right now. But year-round Christmas stores, we're thinking they'll be interested in a Christmas product because that's all they sell, right?
That and then if they're like way into it, that's a good sign.
Right. So this is kind of a test. We're sending out 200 today, and the rest will go out. We've been polling certain retailers about the game, and they're like, people start buying July, August for Christmas. So send stuff out in July, maybe late July, start sending Christmas stuff out to retailers. So so timelines is, or milestones is, getting a timeline, getting a marketing plan. That was probably the first one. Like, what are we going to do to sell all these games? And then kind of checking off the list. So the first one was the website. Second one is sending out a mailer. Third one's probably getting Amazon going. So, and here's a problem with Amazon that we found out. We don't really know how to tackle this. So, and because we've got friends that, like mutual friends, even like you guys know, the guys at Gravel who sell backpacks and travel bags and blankets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we know them, and we know a few other people that sell their own products on Amazon. One of the biggest problems is that people will try to buy our games wholesale and beat our Amazon price.
Oh,
wow.
And so, so it's a huge problem. So what happens is getting those people to take down, getting Amazon to basically block those guys takes a ton of work and time.
yeah.
So I'm sitting here asking our friend who is battling this problem all the time. So just case in point, let's say you have for us, we have a $25 item. We sell it wholesale for $12.50, but we want to sell it on Amazon for $25, right?
Right.
So, but some wholesaler goes, oh, you're going to let me buy them at $12.50? I'll sell them on Amazon for $22 or $21 or $20 or something, And when people see it, we're going to sell more. So then they get listed above us, even though we're the official retailer, right, on Amazon. And part of me is in the mindset of going, well, why do we care? If we can sell wholesale and it's worth it, why not just let someone else deal with the headache of Amazon?
Yeah.
So we're in talks on that right now. There's probably somebody listening to this podcast that can explain to me why that's a bad, why that's the kind of stinking thinking. But it's almost like it would definitely be easier. But obviously we'd make more if we're the seller. The guy that did botany game had
Uh-huh.
that problem too, and he fights him. So he's like,
So wait, I missed the part. Is there a way to vet wholesale?
yeah. So on the
wholesale?
contract, and we even had a sale that we think that's what they wanted to do because they ghosted us. We said in our contract, you cannot sell on Amazon. Period. No exceptions. And then they ghosted us. So we think they wanted to put on Amazon.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so these other guys have it in their contract, and what happens is they either have a retail store, and that's how they qualify to buy wholesale from you.
Uh-huh.
But in addition to the retail store, they are basically using their retail store as a front to buy products and sell them on Amazon
Yeah.
to get that wholesale
Interesting.
sales. So there's all kinds of stuff we're learning. I know that the learning on this company is never going to stop, like,
Yeah.
like we're just going to, that's what entrepreneurship is, right? It's just solving a different set of problems every day. You have problems and you go, okay, what are we going to do about this? That's what we did with SVS all the time. That's what every meeting is. We have these problems. How are we going to fix them? Right.
That's true. That's a good point. So if you are a person who likes that sort of thing, go into business for yourself. Yeah. This is cool. I think we'll cut it off there and wish you well, Will Terry. It's the end of an era.
Yeah,
It's kind of sad, I gotta say.
Yeah.
it is for me too. And I miss it. And right. Even in the last couple weeks. But I really do hope to be able to check in on the podcast and maybe some other things every now and then.
Before you showed up, Lee, I was telling Will too. I'm like, it's an interesting dynamic between me and Lee without you, because it's like all business and no like fun. And,
I'm the guy that
somehow
I'm the
Will's the third element there that just makes it fun.
I'm the guy that comes in and
I'm
says,
personally offended at that statement.
I just saw-
now I'm nervous. I'm gonna have to plan one fun thing to talk about every time.
Every time. All you gotta do is every once in a while go on a political rant.
There you
Like,
go.
Okay, that's what we need.
It's either that or I'll come in and I'll say, I just saw two old guys fighting in the grocery store. And then you talk about that for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need 2 Bitcoins to rub together
There you go.
as we're talking.
Hey, Bitcoin hit 100 grand again today.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too shabby. I don't know what to do with my 10 that I bought early on.
No.
So
Just hold them, Lee. Hold them.
just hold on for dear life. Yeah. So
All
yeah.
right.
You guys, I won't be able to say, all three of us are professional illustrators and we've worked for all the major publishers in the business, and together we have 75 children's books, and we've worked at universities, and all that stuff you're going to have to find somebody else that can say that.
That is very true. So for those of you guys who wondering kind of what we're doing with the podcast moving forward, Jake and I, we've had some awesome guests over the past year, and we've had more and more SVS instructors kind of diving in, and we've loved having Sam and Anthony and David. And so it's going to be basically Jake and I running the show from now on, and then we're going to be alternating out that third guest. So it will always be a 3-point perspective. It's just that third guest is going to change around.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because no one can really replace Will Terry.
No.
Well, and
It takes everyone to try to even match up.
and
to
I
Will
can't
Terry.
replace all those guests. So
Yeah.
there you go.
All right, everybody. Thank you for
stuff.
joining us. 3-Point Perspective is made possible by SVSLearn, where becoming a great illustrator starts. And your hosts have been Will Terry, Lee White, and I'm Jake Parker. Special thanks to our team. Helps make this thing possible. Daniel, too, is our producer. Preston Smith, team manager. Austin Shirtliff, keeper of the curriculum. Lily Howell, show notes wrangler. Lisa Fott, chief operations officer. And Annalise Black, illustrator. Now, go draw something.
All right.
That's it. That's crazy how that all kind of happens so
Yeah.
fast, you know. I mean,
I hope
Yeah.
you guys make so much money.
me too, man. I need it. Gotta, you know, you have your living room full of boxes and stuff. Meanwhile, I buy a stupid new car. What is that about? Like,
We
you
actually
enjoying it,
did
though?
buy a new car.
Oh
we
my
bought
God.
we bought a one of those Kia Sportages
nice.
that's loaded down. Our
Nice.
Lily's car finally it started burning a ton of oil. And so we're like, we had always said, as soon as your car conks out, we're gonna get a new car. And so yeah,
Did you
All
get a
right.
good deal? Would you buy it new or used?
brand new.
Oh, dang.
It's technology is amazing. I will say that our first going up to Utah for that funeral, we actually had a chance to actually use the self-driving stuff, and
Whoa.
we won't be driving, you guys. So check this out. I don't know if yours does this, Lee, but like in traffic, you set your cruise control, and it can be bumper to bumper traffic. It steers, it gasses and brakes.
Yeah, that's
the
the
whole-
adaptive cruise control.
cruise
Yeah.
control. It
My
does the whole
Subaru had
thing.
that. I could not the Bronco that I got, because Broncos start their base level starts around 40,000 used,
Right.
and then goes up to 100,000, 200,000. So I'm at the very low end of that. The only feature I really cared about was taking off the top and taking off the doors.
Oh,
That's the only thing I cared about. And so that's what mine does. But I didn't get the base one, but I got there's like 9 versions of it. And I got the one level up. So my Subaru had all that stuff, the driving and the adaptive
yeah.
cruise control. This one doesn't have a lot of those bells and whistles. I got to say, I miss them just a little bit more than I thought I would.
you sold the Subaru?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Well, the Bronco is it's stylish going up to the ski resort.
Dude, it's when I go out to my car, we've had a few days that have gotten 75 or higher so far, and I go out and the top is off. I absolutely love it. I mean, I'm giddy to drive it around. I actually look for reasons to go drive.
That's funny. That's good.
Well, all right, guys. Don't be a stranger, and if you need anything, let me know. And